Alright, fellow students, let us look at the ways questions can be asked under the courses of the simple method. Let's look at some questions, how they can give to you people and how you can tackle them. If you go into the hall, for those who be writing advanced learning history this year, you go into the hall and see questions that they are given in the courses of the simple method. How will you be able to answer them? Let's start with the first question. He said the seat of the second World War were sown in Versailles in 1919. Discuss 25 marks. Now, how will you attack this question as an advanced level student? The seat means the errors of Versailles. Errors of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 contributed to the outbreak of the Second World War. So, the first part of this question, you will say your MP1 of the question, you look at the weaknesses of the Treaty of Versailles or how the Germans criticize the Treaty of Versailles. Under the weaknesses, we are going to look at it as a diktat. We look at diktat, we look at the war geek clouds. The war geek clouds. We look at military restriction, military sanction, we look at economic sanction, we look at reparation. These are the ways in which the Germans criticize the Treaty of Versailles, and they have to be get annoyed and demand for the outbreak of the Second World War. When we talk about diktat, it means that in the Treaty of Versailles of 1919, the Germans called a dictated peace on them because when the terms of the Treaty of Versailles were drawn against the Germans were not invited to come and see how the terms were drawn against them. The Germans were only given 3 weeks to protest against the Treaty of Versailles, and after their protest, only minor clauses in the Treaty of Versailles were changed. The major one were not changed. So the Germans looked at the treaty as it was a dictated peace on them, and for that reason, they have to plan on how they will revenge it, and to revenge it was the outbreak of the Second World War. Now, under the war geek clouds, the Treaty of Versailles has to blame Germany. Article 231, which we call it the war geek clouds, blame Germany for solely being responsible for the outbreak of the First World War, without giving responsibilities to other European nations, forgetting to know that Britain, France, Russia, they also contributed to the outbreak of the First World War. So the Germans were not happy with the war geek clouds, as it blamed money on them for causing the war. For that reason, the Germans were not happy for the sanctions that they took in Versailles, and they have to revenge in the Second World War. We talk about military sanctions. The size of German soldiers in the Treaty of Versailles was reduced to 100,000 soldiers. As if that was not enough, the Germans were prohibited from producing military equipment like tanks, zeppelins, and armor cars. And the Germans were not happy because their criticism or their argument was that the 100,000 soldier one was too small to maintain internal security in Germany, and Germany was so vulnerable to external attack. So to them, the 100,000 soldier was small. They criticized it, and to revenge, he has to let go the armament in Europe, which led to the outbreak of the war. We have economic sanctions where the Germans lost their trading rights over China and Egypt, and the Germans again lost their territories in Africa, in the Southeast Asia or the Pacific, as well as the Germans were asked to pay reparation of £6.6 million, and being asked to pay this amount of money, their sources of raw materials were taken away from them, and the Germans could not continue to pay reparation. That's why by 1923, France and Belgium had to attack the Ruhr region in Germany because Germany could not continue to pay reparation. The Germans gave the argument that you cannot ask us to pay this amount of money and then seize our sources of raw material and then take away our trading right with other nations in the world. So it is difficult for us to raise the amount and pay. So the question, these are the areas used to form MP1, the seat of the Second World War. These were the errors of Versailles that contributed to the outbreak of the Second World War. MP2, you bring in other factors that led to the outbreak of the Second World War that we have seen in our previous previous lecture. If you have not seen the previous lecture, go back and watch it so that it guides you on how you can answer this question. The second question, they say, between the Anglo-French policy of appeasement and isolationism, which contributed more to the outbreak of World War II? This is a question where so many students fall into the trap of the question. They will go and write it on one side. Many students will take Anglo-French policy of appeasement and write it as MP1 and take isolationism and write this as MP2. If you do it this way, you are falling into the trap and you answer the question one-sided. You either be working over 12 or over 13, missing the other part of the question. So this question entails that you take first paragraph, you explain how Anglo-French policy of appeasement contributed to the outbreak of the Second World War. And the second paragraph in that MP1, you explain how American policy of isolationism also contributed to the outbreak of the Second World War. Then you take a transitional statement and let the examiner know that despite the fact that Anglo-French policy of appeasement and American policy of isolationism contributed to the outbreak of the Second World War, other factors were also responsible as the one we have seen in the previous lectures. The third question, to what extent was the outbreak of the Second World War as a result of the activities of aggressors? You see, another question, to what extent, is two-sided. The first part of it, the MP1, you are going to explain how the aggressors, the activities of the aggressors contributed to the outbreak of the Second World War. You can divide the MP1 into 3 paragraphs. You look at the aggressiveness of Japan, how Japanese aggressiveness led to the outbreak of the Second World War. You look at the aggressiveness of Italy under Benito Mussolini led to the outbreak of the Second World War. You look at the aggressiveness of Hitler of Germany, how their aggressive tendencies led to the outbreak of the Second World War. We have already examined their role, the role of the aggressors in when we're looking at the causes for the outbreak of the Second World War. So after you must have elaborated on the different aggressors and their activities towards the outbreak of the Second World War, you take an MP2, which will now be other factors that led to the outbreak of the Second World War, because we could not only blame the aggressors for being the cause of the outbreak of the Second World War. We have the flaws of the Treaty of Versailles. When they withdraw the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, the aggressors were not there. Germany was not there. Italy left. Japan was there, but she left. So the flaws of the Treaty of Versailles, it was not as a result of the activities of the aggressors. You look at the witnesses of the League of Nations, not as a result of the activities of the aggressors. Isolationism, not as a result of the aggressors. Appeasement, fear of communism, all these were not as a result of the activities of the aggressors. So you explain the activities of the aggressors, that's your MP1, and other factors coming as MP2. Now, question 4 is something similar to question 3, but it has a different way to approach it. They said the Second World War was Adolf Hitler's war discussed. Very short question. Now, in this question 4, you will be explaining on the activities of Adolf Hitler and Germany, without including the other aggressors. Because first 1, you are talking about Italy and Japan, but in question 4, you only explain the aggressive activities of Adolf Hitler from 1983 to right up to 1989. And we are looking at aggressiveness of Hitler. We will look at 1933, he withdrew Germany from the League of Nations. In 1934, he started plan to annex Austria by stationing its military at Brenner Pass. In 1935, Hitler started rearmament in Europe. In 1936, he remilitarized Milan. In 1938, Adolf Hitler annexed Austria. In 1939, Adolf Hitler annexed Czechoslovakia to take back Sudeten land. In 1938, he attacked Czechoslovakia. In 1939, Adolf Hitler attacked Poland. And if that was not enough, Hitler again was the person who started the return to power politics or alliance system in Europe, and it led to the outbreak of the Second World War. MP2, you bring in other factors. Thanks so much for following the lectures. We are going to come back. We are not yet done with the topic, but in our previous lectures, we will be looking at the effects or the consequences of the war, which we look at on both sides, positive and negative. And then we look at the responsibilities for for the outbreak of the Second World War, where we look at the responsibilities of the Western Democrats and the responsibility of the communists towards the outbreak of the war. That will be all about the topic. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to view. Don't forget to put your comment in our comment box. Anything that you have challenged, let us know. And where you discover that we have weaknesses, don't hesitate to let us so that we modify it for your best. Thanks so much.